Welcome to this introductory word processing video looking at font formatting in Microsoft Word. A font is simply a style of character that's used for your text in a document. We can control the fonts and extra features or attributes by using the font section in our home ribbon. In the upper left corner, you'll see the name and size of your default font. And the default is simply the pre-selected character style for you to use. With newer versions of Microsoft Word, the default font is Calibri. The default size is 11 points. When you talk about the size of a character, the measurement that's used is a point, and there are 72 points to 1 inch. If you wanted to change the style for this one document, you would select the text first. I'm just going to highlight the entire file by pressing Control and the letter A. The drop arrow, when I single click it, will show me all recently used fonts, as well as a list of all available fonts in alphabetical order. As you scroll your mouse through the font names, you'll see a quick preview appears in your document, so you know exactly what your text will look like when you click on a font name. I'm just going to go with a pretty straightforward font. Let's just choose Century Gothic. So single click, and whatever I have highlighted is then formatted. Normal point size for this version of Word, and this is 2016, is 11 points. Older versions, it used to be 10 or 12. So I'm going to go with 12 just because I like the text a little bit bigger. It is customary, though, to change the height of titles or sometimes subheadings in a document. So introduction is the main title for my file. I want it to be at least 1 or 2 point sizes bigger than the text below it. So I'll click on the drop arrow, and again, here's what 14 point would look like. This is my 16 point. I'm going to go with 14, and I'm done. Now, rather than rely on the drop arrow, there are 2 buttons just to the right of the point size, increase and decrease font size, that will scroll you through each measurement. Okay. I can keep going on endlessly. The change case option saves me having to retype text. If I have upper and lowercase letters, it should be reversed. Or for a title, let's say I want to switch to all capital letters. When I click on the drop arrow, I have options for sentence case, which would capitalize the first letter of the first word, all lowercase, all uppercase. Capitalize each word might be useful for a subheading in my document. Toggle case is the old oops, which should be a capital letter is lowercase, which should be lowercase is a capital letter. So just to show you how that one would look, basically whatever was capitalized is now lowered. It's the opposite. Let's just keep it simple. It looks the opposite way. I wanted to switch to uppercase though, so I'm going to single left click on that. For those of you who like using shortcut keys, you can use the Shift key and the F3 function key to access 3 of those options. So by holding my Shift down, I'm just tapping the F3. You'll see that the text is now turned into a lowercase. Second time pressing Shift F3, I have sentence case, and the third time will switch me back to all capital letters. In the second row, of the font section, I have other features used to emphasize words. Bolding will darken text. And again, for main headings, that is a commonly used format. Just going to select something else. The italics button or feature will slightly angle or tilt the text in a file, and as you might imply, the underline and button will underline your text. Now mine's showing up as a red underline because I was playing with colors earlier. I can change the color by clicking on the drop arrow, accessing the underline color feature, and then going back to a more traditional size. As you can see, especially looking at the italics, some types of fonts do not easily show these formatting options. So I'm just going to select my document and go back to the Arial font. It's probably one of the most commonly used fonts for Microsoft Word documents. So now you can almost see what the italics will look like. Other features to the right may have limited use in editing documents. Let's just choose this text to take a peek at the strike through. So I have a single line going through my text. The next buttons, subscript and superscript, are used to raise or lower numbers in a line. So I'm going to just click here and show you how those two work. So H2O is a common abbreviation for water. The 2, though, needs to be dropped and reduced in size, and that's what the subscript button does automatically. Again, you just want to make sure you're selecting the text before you click on that feature. Superscripting then is the opposite. I'm going to highlight just the number 3, click on the superscript button, so the text is still reduced in size, but it is raised half a line above the normal. So while superscripting and subscripting have their uses, they're not a really frequently used font attribute. There are 2 other options, though, that will let me add color to my document. The first of these is the text highlight button. And much like I would take a highlighting pen and drag it on a piece of paper, I can use the highlighter in Word to apply a background color to text. The color of the line on the button indicates what color highlighting you're going to use. So we'll work with yellow for a moment. When I single click the button, you'll notice that my iBeam mouse now has a highlighter attached to it, and I can just click and drag and highlight text that will then reflect that format. When I'm finished highlighting, I can either go back to the highlight button and single left click, or pressing the escape key on your keyboard will also cancel that feature. There is a drop arrow to the right of the button, and when I click on it, I now have options to other formatting or other formatting colors. Again, clicking and dragging the text to select it, or if you already have text highlighted, when you single click on either the button or choose a color, that text will automatically change. Still in color mode, we have font color, and that will change the color of the actual letters. The default button will always show a red line. I can, if I want to choose a different color though, highlight existing text, click on the drop arrow and choose something from the theme colors. Standard colors are ones that you may have been using recently, and if none of these work, you can click on the more colors option and go into a beehive of activity. Once you've selected or found the appropriate color, you just okay your way back to your document. It is colorful, you must admit. A good rule to follow when you're doing any kind of formatting, especially font formatting, is that less is better. You'll find if you use too many font styles, too many sizes, a variety of colors or shading or highlighting, the text becomes too busy to read. The reader's focus will be distracted by how it looks as opposed to the content. A couple more things to look at. Text formatting can involve more desktop-like features. And desktop publishing is an area that focuses primarily on creating artistic documents versus text-based files. So I have this text effects and typography button, and I've just single-clicked on the drop arrow to show you some of the options that are here. The purpose of your file would determine whether you were even considering using some of these options. If I was sending out a cover letter or a resume, I would certainly not go with shadow or outline or a lot of colors. It's not necessarily going to make the best impression on the reader. If I was doing an announcement, a flyer of some sort, I have a little more creativity. There's less text on the page so that your formatting will have more of a pop effect. There is a fast way of removing formatting. I'm just going to highlight this first chunk at the top. At the end of the top font formatting ribbon, I have a clear all formatting button. So when I single click on that, what the system does is take the font back to the default, my starting point, Calibri 11. You'll notice the highlighting remains. So in order to get rid of that, I would choose my highlighter and go with no color, and then I would click and drag the text to remove it. You could also have selected that section, left it highlighted, and then remove the color that way. The font dialog box is accessed through the settings button in the lower right corner. And in addition to showing a lot of the same features we saw on the ribbon, at the very bottom, we have a set as default option. So if you find every time you're using Word, you are changing the font style or you're changing the size, what you can do in the dialog box is select your font. I'm just looking for Arial, and the point size. You could add other attributes if you wanted, but again, if you keep the font default simple, then it's easier to go back and just change little sections. Once my styles are defined, I would click on Set as Default. The dialog box gives me the option of then setting this font for all new documents that I am created, and that's what the based on the normal template means. Okay. That pretty much covers font formatting. Again, keep in mind, less is better, and the purpose of your file will determine how creative you can be with your text. Take care, and thanks for watching.